So I'm joined this week for Past and Present episode 2 with another absolute Colchester icon, a Colchester hero, Mr. Karl Duguid. Carl, how are you doing, mate?
Good, thank you. Very well.
Good, good. We were just talking about the shirts in the background, and obviously the Chelsea game where we had Kem on back in a couple of weeks ago now, and I'm sure we'll get into that from your side of things. But I want to cast your mind all the way back to when you first sort of came in at Colchester United. I believe you was sort of 16, 17 years old.
Yeah,
A
straight
sort
straight
of
from school. Yeah, left
yeah.
school,
So
come straight. Did my apprentice. Well, it was YTS scheme then. So yeah, come straight in as a youth team player.
what was it back then that sort of stood out to Colchester for you?
Well, funny enough, I actually played. I played in a mini tournament with my district. No, yes, my district team, which was North Hearts at the time, and Norwich and Colchester United down at Spring Lane. We played in a triangle tournament, it was called at the time. Um, and I used to go and train with Norwich in the summer and stuff like that. So I knew the Norwich people, the Norwich players, and the coaches and stuff. And we played in this little tournament. After the games, a guy called Steve Dale came. He might know Steve, I don't know, but Steve Dale came up to me after the games and sort of spoke to the coach about getting my number and stuff because they wanted to invite me down to Colchester to play a few games, in which I did. I played a few. This was under 14s at the time, so I played a few games at under 14 level, which was a bit of a trek for me because I was living in Hertfordshire at the time. It was before the A1, well, the bypass from Stansted to Colchester to Braintree was built, so it used to take a good 2 hours to get to Colchester. My dad used to drive me down on a Friday night to train. Um, and then we'd have games on a Sunday. I played a few under 14s, and then I signed schoolboy forms, if you like, and I played a full season at under 15 level, and then they offered me an apprenticeship. So um, it was it came out of nowhere really, because like I say, I was at Luton, I was training with Norwich in the school holidays and things. And then I sort of ended up at Colchester, and it was somewhere that I didn't really know Colchester at that time when I was that young. I didn't really know of Colchester United, if you like. Um, but yeah, I sort of signed as an apprentice, YTS scheme as it was at the time. I think about £35 a week we earned, um, and it was different. I mean, I left school, come straight here. I was I never sort of stayed out from home, never stayed away from home or anything before. I was a bit of a homeboy, if you like to stay at home with my parents and things. And then all of a sudden, I was getting moved up to Colchester, and here's your bags, here's your key. My landlady walked in, said, "Here's your key. Basically, do what you want. Turn up for dinner of
Fair
an
enough.
evening if you want."
Fair enough. So like back then, how did it sort of make you feel? Like you say, you were sort of involved with the team from the sort of 15, sort of 14, 15, 16 years old. I think you made your first team debut at 17. What was that like to then actually finally get on the pitch?
Well, when I first started playing in the youth team, I think they sort of have an eye on the players that they feel will be the ones that come through. Obviously, there's a lot of bodies there because you have to have a team. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I was probably one of the ones that they would have gone, "Cool, this lad's got a chance," when I first joined. Um, but I was very determined, very dedicated to what I did. I wanted to be a professional footballer, if you like, and that's all I ever wanted to be. And then once I walked through the building and met up with the rest of the guys, people like, I mean, I lived with Tony Locke at the time, Tony Cook as well. But as soon as I walked through the doors, I was determined to be one of those ones that did make it. So my first sort of, my first, at them times, you have obviously your youth team and then you had your reserves and your first team. So my aim was to get into the youth team side straight away as quick as I possibly could, which is a first year, that's good. And then my aim was to be in the reserves, if you like, by sort of Christmas time, um, and then sort of the next season be pushing to get into the first team squads and stuff like that. But I was lucky enough to get into the first team squad sort of by the end of my sort of first year, which was brilliant. A number of the lads used to travel with the team at the time, like Lockie and people like that, and I wouldn't go, and I was thinking, oh, when's my chance sort of ever going to come? And Steve Foley, who phoned me, was my youth team manager at the time, and he used to ring round the houses to make sure you was in on a Friday night before the youth team game on a Saturday. And he'd ring me, say, "How are you, mate? How are you, son?" He'd go, "I see a few of the boys have travelled like for tomorrow's game." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He said, "Don't worry, mate. Your time will come soon," which was great. I mean, I saw Steve Foley today. Funny enough, he come to our training at Braintree today. He comes up on a Thursday and sees us all the time. So that's great. But without him, I said to him today, without him playing me in every position he did in the youth team, that helped me so much. Going forward, he played me in every. My first position was a left wing back. And that was '94. Do you know what I mean? That was sort of unheard of, if you like. And he played me as a left wing back, and like I say, I think I played a lot of games at left back for the first team as the years went on. But I mean, Steve was a massive part of that. But to actually get on the pitch, my debut was at Hereford away, the same day as David Gregory's debut. I come off the bench. And I mean, just to get into the first team, like I say, to be in the youth team, then get into the reserves, then get into the first team, and it was just his dream come true. Really, all you wanted to do is a professional footballer, and once you got into that first team, you just wanted more and more of it.
Yeah. It's like you say, you come on off the bench, you're like sort of running onto the pitch and you sort of look around and you're like, I've made it. And at that point, probably had no idea that it was then going to lead to the career that you had with Colchester. To think at 17, I'm on the pitch now, and then on your 36th birthday, then announced they'll see you were going to hang up the boots. Like that is
Well,
incredible.
I'll be honest with you. From day one, from whatever team I got in, I always was really appreciative of it. Whatever team I got in, whether it was the youth team, I always questioned, was I good enough myself? Whether other people did that, but I always questioned that myself. And then when I got in the reserves, I always questioned, am I good enough? Am I good enough? And then in the first team, am I good enough? And then when we got from League Two to League One, am I good enough for League One? Oh, to League One to the Championship, am I good enough? And I always questioned myself, but I think that helped me push myself. I always made sure that I was as fit as I possibly could be, to get the best out of me. Do you know what I mean? So that was always my biggest thing, was be as fit as you can, be as fit as you can. And then if you've got that quality, it will come out, and like I said, again, I've been lucky throughout my whole career to stay fit. I mean, there was a number of times when I did have injuries, but we can come to that later on. But I was a very determined person. I worked very hard at what I wanted to do. I knew what I was in the team. I always knew what I was and what I was all about. And once players realise what they are as a player and what they're good at, and they do what they're good at really, really well, and then improve on the things that they're probably not so good at, but they're the things that they improve on, I think then you get a better player, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely that is one thing I was then going to sort of say to you. You'll see 1995 to 2008 at Colchester, and if these dates are slightly wrong, blame Wikipedia. 2008 to 2011 to Plymouth, and then 2011 to 2014 back to Colchester. What
Yeah.
was it about Colchester that you just remained loyal to, and then during your time at Plymouth decided, no, do you know what, I want to move back?
Um, from from the moment I joined Colchester, from the moment I got into the first team, there was it felt like I was always just playing with my mates, and the fans. We had a real good rapport with the fans, as in, if we had a game on a Friday night, we'd finish the game and within an hour we were in town with them. Do you know what I mean? And which I loved all that. I love all the closeness of the fans, as in the closeness with the players, which they're getting, which I feel that they're getting again now. That there was a
Yeah,
number of years where I don't think that they had that, and I think that's coming back now, which the managers have probably really worked on for that to happen, and it is that's back to where it should be. But I always felt like I had this. I don't know. I felt like a supporter on the pitch. Does that make sense? Might
yeah,
sound a bit cliche, a bit cringe or whatever, but that's how I felt. And
yeah,
I think the fans sort of looked at me at those times and thought, he's playing how I would play if I was playing for the
mm,
team.
yeah,
Even if I wasn't playing well as in a technical sense. They knew that I would work as hard as I possibly can
Yeah.
to try and get a win. They knew that I would try my hardest for the team, for my teammates, help my teammates out and stuff like that. And that's what made Colchester close to me, to my heart,
Yeah.
and I think that's why I became captain. I think when Phil Parkinson came in, he saw what he was at Reading. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
He knew what he was at Reading and how he wore his heart on his sleeve and stuff like that, and he worked as hard as he possibly can for the team. And I think he saw a little bit of me in him, and that's why I believe he made me captain, because he knew the background and he knew everything that I come through the youth and blah blah blah. And I think that when he first joined and he took me up and had a meeting with me, because he had a meeting with every player, he said to me, "Look, you're going to be my right midfielder." Blah 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 blah. From day one, he said that. Never said I was going to be captain eventually, but I think that was just the next step. And there would have been a lot of people that when I did become captain would have gone, "Wow." But
Mm.
then I think others would have thought, "Well, no, actually, he's a captain. He will lead by example and blah blah blah." Yes, he's
Yeah.
not their best player, but he will lead by example. Even though Phil Parkinson did say when I was out injured, he said we've been missing our best player for the whole season. So I've got that little quote written up, and it's above my bed in my bedroom.
I love it. I love it. Just as you get into bed every night, you see it and you're like, yeah, that's me. I love
That'll do.
that. I love that. Yeah, you sort of look at and this was again hearing you talking about Phil when we had Kem on, he couldn't stop talking about how great Phil Parkinson was and just how much he sort of reminded the players like what it means to the people in the stand. Like if you're having a bad game, just think of them. And to be the way that you was talking, it's without doubt you are Mr. Cole United. You are an absolute hero for the club, and you are a player that every when I have kids, I'll be telling them of the Layer Road days of yourself, of Cam, of Wayne Brown, of the absolute cult heroes and the cult
But
icons. So
those guys you're mentioning are honest footballers.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like Kemi. I don't think people realised how good Kemi was and what he did for the team until he left,
yeah,
and that's a shame, really. Don't get me wrong; people knew what he was all about, and they knew what a fantastic servant he was for the football club. But I don't think people realised until he left what he did for the football team, what he did
yeah,
for the football club, and he was another one that every single day of the week he would put 100% effort into what he's doing. Whether we try, and we were the same sort of people in that way, but we had to be to get the
yeah,
best out of us. We had to be, we wasn't naturally gifted like as in I don't know, a Neil Dans or somebody like that. The match winners. Yeah, we wasn't, but we knew we wasn't.
mm,
We actually knew we wasn't, and we knew that if we played our part in the team, it would make a Neil Downs better. It would help Mark Yates. I would do all Mark Yates' running behind him if I'm playing left back, and he would go and win us a game of football. But I knew that, I
mm,
wouldn't just moan because Yates is probably not working as hard, but I knew he could win us a game of football. So I knew what I had to do to help him, And
yeah.
Kemi, Brownie, all those guys are all people that good, honest footballers, and you need those players. You need those players in a football team.
Yeah, it's the way you talk about Mark Yates. Like I always used to remember him playing. I remember his coochie dive that he done, where he then hurt his shoulder, and it was sort of one of them where you were like, you could tell he wanted to do it, but he didn't want to injure himself. But yeah, like you say, you sort of do all his running. You go up to him at the end and go, "I'm absolutely blowing because you didn't track back." And he's like, "Yeah, but I got the winning goal." And you're like, "Yeah, fair enough. Like, I'll let you off," sort of thing. But
But we knew that. We knew he could win us football matches. We knew
yeah,
Neil Dance could win us football matches. So we knew what we had to do. We we did that
yeah,
because it helped the team.
yeah,
And like I say before, once you know your role in the team, and that is Phil Parkinson. Phil Parkinson made every single player know what their role was in the team, what their responsibilities were in the team, and how you had to do it. And
yeah,
from day one, he walked in the door. He changed the absolute culture of the football club. And I mean, people you talk about culture of the football club, and before he came in, every single season it was let's get to 52 points and we'll
Yeah.
stay in the league. That was the ambition. And when you look back, it's like, really, is that the ambition of the football club, just to get 52 points? Which, look, I understand at the same time. I mean, the club, they were the smallest club, smallest budget, blah 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 blah. But he came in and he changed that completely. He walked in, and I remember the first meeting. He said, "I want to get this club. I want to get this football club promoted.
Mm.
Not just get 52 points." And everyone sort of looked at each other and went, "Who's this guy? Like, he's having a laugh,
Mm.
isn't he? We've only had to get 52 points
Yeah.
every season. All of a sudden, we've got to get even more,
You got to
like
win it.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it is." You know what I mean? But it was like, as soon as he said that, the whole everybody changed, you know. And then he's bringing players. I mean, some of the loan players that he brought in along the way, you know, Craig Fagan, obviously Ryan Vine, people like that, real good footballers. You know, Danzy, you know, they were fantastic players. Yatesy, Richard Garcia. You could go through all these players that he brought in along the way. Curo, do you know what I mean? He was a loan signing at the time. People like that. He was so good at what he done, but he's the way he did it and the way he got everyone involved, not just the players, not just the people behind the scenes, but all the fans. Everyone was involved. I mean, we used to get in on a Monday. I was captain at the time. I used to get in on a Monday, and with David Matt Hudson at the time would come in to me and give me a pile of A4 paper like that. It was, and it was all places that lads had to be during the week. Like, you'd be opening I don't know, a bookshop in town, and Yatesy and Danzy would have to do that. Uh, I mean, Kemi and Brownie would have to go and do, I don't know, go to a local school and read a book. Me and Watto would have to go to a shop and do some sort of like work behind the thing, do the counter and stuff like that. But we was in town, all around, everywhere, doing this stuff every single day of the week within the community to get that buzz again. I mean, people knew when we had a game on a Saturday. People knew when we had a game on a Friday night at Layer Road. You know, everybody knew about it. Whereas everybody knew there was a football club in Colchester. You
Mm.
know, and it's back to that again,
Yeah.
which because I think we lost that a little bit, you know, but it's back to
100%.
that again. And the like I say, the blue and white army, all their stuff at the ground now, it's back to where it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. You saying about like the players going around to all the shops. I actually remember when I was young and I went to, I think it was like Spicer McCall or Spicer Hart in Colchester, and I met Clive Platt and Pat Baldwin. And they were just there signing autographs, and I think there was a few other players dotted around in other shops, and it was just the things that you had to do back then. But nowadays, you don't really see that anymore. But like you say, the work that the BWA are doing and the work that Danny and Nicky are doing, the players, a friend of mine, Mitchell, who I've done a couple of videos with, we went to the open day at the start of the season.
Yeah.
He's a Liverpool fan. And when we were lining up and we went round and met all the players and were just chatting to them, they all open and honest. He literally walked past and went, "You won't get that with Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, but players like that. They're just complete anomalies. Like you'll stand there and ask for their autograph and they'll just ignore you. Whereas the players now, even win, lose or draw after the game, if you went up to them and was like, "Can you sign my autograph, please?" Smile on their face, "Yeah, no problem. How you doing? How's your day been?" Like they actually talk to you. Whereas he was saying he was like Liverpool. He went, "I could knock on Virgil van Dijk's door and he'll tell me to go away." I feel like if you knocked on a Coventry United player's door, they'd probably say, "What are you doing at my door?" But they would probably still sign an autograph for you.
I'll offer
But
you in
yeah,
for a cup.
yeah, they'll say, "Do you want to come in for a cup of tea?" Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously you mentioned a little bit earlier on about sort of like an injury. I believe you missed all of the 2004, 2005 season with an injury. How did you come back from that? Because obviously the season after that was a little bit of a memorable one. So how did you sort of come back from that injury?
Well, it was tough. I think I was out for about 18 months in all. And Kemi was out with me at the same time. Funny enough, we were both injured at the same time. He wasn't out for as long as me, but he had an operation on his ankle, and I had an operation on my knee. Um, but it was really tough, you know. But again, without Kemi, like, it sounds bad, without Kemi being injured at the same time, I would have really struggled. really struggled because we did get each other through it, you know. Um, don't get me wrong, we are probably a pain in the arse at times. Don't get me wrong, especially when we're injured. We did start to do things like when the lads were gone, and we'd start, I don't know, tying all their clothes up and hiding their, getting their car keys and move their cars up the road and stuff like that. We got a little bit painful, and we took our eyes off what we was what we was actually meant to do. But we didn't feel that we was going to get fit, you know, because we were both running, we were both. But once we started playing kicking the ball, we was in a bit of trouble because of the injuries. But it was really tough. We did work hard to get back. I mean, I remember times I was getting up into Colchester at like 7 in the morning to go up to Leisure World and running the deep pool up at Leisure World and stuff like that. 7 in the morning on your own and stuff like that. It was tough. It was really tough. And there was one point when I didn't feel that I was going to get back from it. I ended up going to see I'd had something like 6 injections, and then it just kept. I just kept getting back to square one. There was one point where I'd come back. I had my last injection because they didn't want to put any more injections in me. To be fair, and I was back running. All the running I could run for fun, you know, straight lines, all good. But as soon as I kicked the ball, I was up at the university, and I was doing some kicking with Stuart Ailes at the time was the physio, and I kicked this ball and I just collapsed on the floor because the pain in my knee was ridiculous. And that was it. I was on the floor. I was in tears. All the lads were sort of watching from the other side, and it was like, what's going on there, you know? So I just went home. I had a phone call from Marie partner, which was, I mean, Marie wouldn't ring you up. She phoned me and said, look, I've heard you've had a bit of something's happened at training today. I was like, yeah, I just don't know what to do. It was like everyone was sort of involved. So we ended up seeing an independent specialist, if you like. We didn't give him any history of what I'd had done. We didn't tell him about the injections I'd had. We didn't tell him about all the stuff, all the people that I'd seen, anything. So we just went to see this guy, and I'd done my medial before a number of years ago, and I had it reattached. I had it reattached to the bone with a screw, but that was fine. That was all back to normal. But that was long before that. And then what was happening was, so sorry, I went to see the independent specialist, and he said, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. I'm going to have a look. He said, we'll have a little tidy up, see what's what. He said, but you've had everything you've had done, and the symptoms that you've got. He said, if we can't find anything, he said, I don't think there's anything else we can do for you. And it was a bit of shock to the system, but at the same time, it's probably what I needed to hear because I didn't know where I was going, you know. So when I left there, I actually phoned the PFA to see what I was entitled to if I had to pack up through injury and this, that, and the other. So I think it was only a week later or so that I got all the information from the PFA what I needed to do if this was the worst case scenario. I went back a week later, I think, up to I had it done Cambridge. Had it done in Cambridge, and I went in. Stuart Ailes actually went in and watched the operation, and they went in to tidy it up, and the surgeon said, "Oh, can I just have the X-ray so I can see exactly where the screw is?" He said, "You need the metal taken out because that's the only thing that's in there now that it shouldn't be in there because it's done its job." Went in, and he said, I need the X-rays." Went in. He said, and just as they were passing in the X-rays, he said he could see the screw. So what was happening was, every time I kicked a ball, the screw was working its way back out of the bone itself. So that was the pain I was getting every time I kicked a ball. It was sort of coming out. Like, I mean, and I've still got the screw to this day, and it's literally like what you'd put in a wardrobe. It's ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. It's a little screw about this sort of size, and it had like 2 little plicas, I think they call them, that hook around the ligament and reattach it. Because what was happening was my medial wasn't reattaching itself, because what it does is it bleeds and then it congeals and it sort of like seals itself back. But mine wasn't doing that, so that's why I had to have the screw originally. But so anyway, he took the screw out, and said, right, that's it. He's got the screw out. If that's all we can do for him now. Took the screw out, and I was back playing within 6 weeks, I think.
Wow.
So I'd had
This is
18. I'd had 18 months out, all these injections, and if they'd have taken the screw out, hindsight, if they'd have taken the screw out earlier
yeah.
doors, then I might have been playing within 6 weeks than sort of 16 to 18 months. But like you
Nah, you
say,
know,
but I think it was one of those things that um, test you. They test your mental strength, how you react, and stuff like that. Yes, I don't wish anyone out to be out that sort of length of time, but it was something that did test me. But having someone like Kemi with me again at the same, but obviously he's been through a lot of things with me, good or bad. You know, with like you say, the injuries, promotion and stuff. But then the next season, obviously, we was a very good one.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened that next season. It's a bit of a
But
blur, really. Yeah. All I remember is just a really boring 0-0 draw against Yeovil, but celebrating it like we won 10-0. It was crazy for you during that time. Like we heard from Ken where he had a bittersweet feeling with it because, like you were saying earlier, with the players that we're in, with like Danzy Garcia, Kevin Watson, he was sort of playing a bit more of a sort of like B role in the team, but he sort of was okay with that because of he knew that if I gave my 100%, they've got to be even better, and he was sort of okay with that. Obviously, you had a bit of a slightly different role during that season. When that final whistle went at Yeovil, what was that feeling?
unbelievable, unbelievable. I couldn't. Again, the emotion of I think the emotion of the season before for myself, and because I played about 3 or 4 games at the start of the season of that season, and then I actually had a bit of a reaction to my knee injury, so I missed a few games, and then I came back into the team. I think when we played, was it Leamington Spa in the FA Cup?
Hmm.
I think that's when I came back into the team, and then that's when I stayed in the team. Actually, that's when Yatesy done his shoulder. Funny enough.
Yes, not yeah. I remember that game 'cause we won 9-1. I think everyone scored. I think even like the sub
No, I
goalkeeper at the
didn't.
time
No,
was
I didn't.
oh okay, everyone but you. You and the keeper. But I think everyone was just like, oh, let me get on and let's score. And I remember that they scored one, and it was I think even the Colchester fans celebrated with them because it was like, hey, well
Well,
done,
so
you got the
there's
one.
a there's a story behind that. So it was 9-1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously 9-0, you're thinking, wow, what a result. So 9-1, we get into the change room after the game, and Parky is going absolutely crazy, like going mad, absolutely hammering us. And we're like, what? So if we'd have won 9-0, it'd have been the record score, the record winning score or something for a Colchester United team.
Wow.
I believe. I believe that was the case,
Yeah.
or in the FA Cup or whatever it may well be. And he was going mental. And to be fair, the goal was an unbelievable strike. It weren't like we'd sort of like really mucked up bad defensively, but the geezer scored from about 25 yards and he smashed it in the top corner. And I think we all celebrated for him, you know. But
Mm.
that was Parky's mentality. He was
Yeah.
going mental because he wanted the record of the 9-0. Now
Yeah.
all of a sudden we've only equalled the record, so it doesn't matter now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was going nuts, but that was the mentality of him, and that's the mentality that he put into us. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, there's a story behind that, but yeah, I think that's when I got back into the team after being injured because I was in and out. I got injured, missed a few games. And then we played, like I say, Leamington was when I got back in it, and then I think it was maybe Nottingham Forest or somebody who played Forest somewhere along the line. And then from then on, I mean, I think I played as a left back because obviously my right knee at the time was a little bit um, wasn't where it should be, to be honest with you. So Parky played me left back because he said just use your left foot.
Fair enough.
Which was great because the whole time I was out for 18 months, I used to train with the lads and just use my left foot and just train with my left foot.
Yeah.
There was a training session where I joined in the session and I played the whole session with my left foot. I played as a left back in the reserves against the first team, so like first team v reserves game. I played the whole game at left back, and Parky said, "Who? had a bit of a moan up at Stuart Ailes. Said, "Well, why he's not injured? How can you tell me he's not fit?" He said, "He's not fit. He's just played with his left foot the whole training session." And he's like, "Well, he'd have to play with his left foot in the first team then." And to be fair, I mean, left foot got better and better at the time, but it was, yeah, I was quite lucky that Parky was, he was good to me. You know, he was
Yeah.
really, really good to me, and he helped me get through that injury. If I'm honest, there have been a lot of managers that maybe would have gone for, well, sort of push you aside. But like you say, that next season was was something else. I mean, like say Lemon Spa in the FA Cup, and then going to Chelsea. There was games throughout that season that sort of you look at, and I think it would have been was it Sheffield Wednesday? Did we beat 4-1? Um, there was little Brentford away was a big win as well, I believe. Bournemouth away. We won 2-1 in the end, I think. Um, and the Bournemouth game was just after the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
And it was funny enough, we had Dermot Gallagher was the ref against Chelsea. And I remember him refing the game. It was really good, actually, the Chelsea game. And then a couple of weeks later, we played Bournemouth, and Dermot Gallagher was the ref, funny enough. And he said, "Hello, Dukes, how are you?" Like before the game, "How are you, mate? Oh, what a great day at Chelsea. Oh, all the fans, brilliant. Loved it. Did you enjoy it?" I was like, "Yeah." And I'd never had that sort of conversation with a ref, you know. It was like,
Mm.
he was all over us a little bit. And it was like he had a little bit of a soft spot for us for whatever reason. I don't
Yeah.
know. And I actually said to the lads before the game, I said, "Look, keep on the ref side." I said, "I'll tell you now, he'll give us something today. He will
Mm.
give us something." I think he gave us a penalty. I think we got a penalty.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, and I said, "He'll get." I mean, it was a penalty. I'm not saying he just give us one, but but I said he would give us something today, and he did.
Yeah.
We got a penalty, which was great. But yeah, little moments across the season that stand out, you know. And then the Yeovil game, like you say, is probably the most boring game. Well, actually, it was a strange game because on the way up there, we travelled on the Friday, and Wayne Brown pulled his hamstring training on the Friday afternoon at Reading. Stopped off at Reading, trained there, and we was just doing a little bit of box, like a bit of a rondo or whatever you want to call it. And Brownie pulled up, but we never really thought anything of it. He just pulled up and didn't train. It was like, oh, he's just being a bit cautious. Um, and then obviously he didn't play. And I think the two centre halves that day were Pat and Liam Chilvers, weren't they?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think they're the two centre halves that day. I played left back. Would it have been Johnny White right back? John White right back?
Yeah. John White or Greg Halford, I think.
Yeah,
I
it
think
might
it
have
was
been Greg. Yeah, because then
one
we
of the
had
two.
yeah. So I should remember really, shouldn't I? But like you say, it was probably one of the. I remember partway through the game, the Yeovil fans were singing a song, basically saying that Brentford were winning because obviously we just
Yeah.
had to match what Brentford did, and I was like, nah, there's no way they're winning. There's no, and I was like, no worry, they ain't winning. There's no way they're winning. I just had a feeling they weren't, and I'm like, and then they hit the post, didn't they? They hit the post. They had a
Mm.
couple of chances. I remember late on, as the game's going on, you're sort of egging the ref, "Come on, mate, come on, mate." And I remember Danzy got the ball down on the left hand side, and it was like literally seconds to go, and he's cut inside, and he's had a shot, and he's got blocked. And I remember having a go at Danzy, like saying, "Just go into the corner, like, come on, mate, like
Yeah.
any danger." And because we're thinking like a bit under a bit of pressure, but little did we know that I think Brentford lost that day. Um, and then obviously the final whistle, like you say, I think it was the emotion of obviously the previous season for myself, the my whole career there. You know, I'd started as a youth team player, not knowing like little old Colchester and this, that, and the other, and then I become. I was youth team captain, then I was in the reserves, and I was reserve team captain in the first team. And then all of a sudden, I was the captain of the football club. And then the story was like it was a real good story to end on that. Well, it didn't end there, did it? We went on again, but it was to see us, that little football club, going to the championship was just amazing, really. And that day, the fans there that day were, I mean, we drove all the way back from Yeovil, obviously, um, with Aidan Davison had the, what was it? Ring of Fire, all the way back. We had that on loop from Yeovil to the coach drops us off outside bar 33 in town, and we got out and we walked straight into the bar at Colchester. But that song played from Yeovil to Bar 33, so we got 5 hours. We played, but
Wow.
obviously the lads were absolutely steamboat by the time we got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got into Bar 33, and I think we had our tracksuits on for the next sort of 5 days. We went from there. The next day, we went into London. All the lads met up in London, and then the next day, I think it was the tour around town. Sorry, the open top bus. I mean, if you ever see any of the footage, Dean Gherkin couldn't even walk onto the bus.
It's
So
one
it
of them
was.
where you look over and you see Dean's near the edge and you just sort of do that and just hold on to
I
his
know,
shirt and you're
yeah,
like,
a bit
it's
like.
like, just in case.
Can you remember the Stuart McCall Bradford when he fell off the car when they got
Yep.
promoted? Yeah, it
Hmm.
was like that sort of thing. But yeah, it was brilliant. For the football club, it was amazing. And then obviously the next season after that was it something else as well.
Yeah. No, that is awesome. So we've gone through and we've mentioned a few of your former teammates, players like Kem Is it, Wayne Brown, Rowan Vine. One thing I want to sort of get to know soccer AM style teammates. Of all of the players that you've played with at Colchester United, who is your player's player? Who is the one where you looked at and was like, he's a bowler?
Best player.
Yeah, from everyone. From when you first signed at 17 to when you retired at 36, who is the one where you looked at and just went, wow?
Um,
Apart from yourself, obviously.
yeah, yeah. I bet no, there won't be many to say me. Put it that way. Um, I would say. I mean, obviously, I played with Luar, but one week he would get in the World 11, and then the next week he wouldn't even get in a pub team. And that's not being disrespectful. He was so up and down at that time. Obviously, he went on to play in the Premier League and be unbelievable. To be fair, but Mark Kinsella was without doubt the best player for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Whitten was right up there as well. I love playing. Well, Witts was a really good player. I don't think he probably got what he got the respect he probably deserved being an Ipswich player.
Yeah, it's always the thing whenever we sign a player that's got Ipswich connections, there's always that little bit of sort of bitter taste in the mouth, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I don't think there is so much now. I think it was a bit,
no,
bit more.
yeah. So who was the funny man? Who was the funny man in the dressing room? You also mentioned you and Kem going around tying people's laces, but who was the joker of the dressing room?
Um, Probably Watto, Kevin Watson.
Yeah.
He was.
This one.
Yeah, go on.
This one, I probably know the answer to this. Who was hard as nails? Who was one that in training you were just like, I don't want to get involved with a tackle with him, or
Well, you had some. I mean, you're probably going to think George Elokobi, aren't you?
the two that I was thinking of was George Elokobi and Wayne Brown.
Oh no, Brownie was just honest.
Mm.
Whereas, well, George was honest as well. I mean, I've seen George absolutely snap Mick Hartford in half in training. And
Fair
Mick, and
enough.
Mick Hartford just got up and carried on. He had a cut down his shin. His shin was ripped open. I mean, to be fair, George didn't mean it. He sort of
Mm.
slipped as he stretched for the ball, and he went straight through Mick. And you're like thinking, because Mick's an hard man, you know what I mean? And he just got up and carried on, and his shin was ripped open. He was like, "Oh my god, what's going to happen here?" Because you think Mick's head's going to fall off, but no, he just carried on, big smiling. But George, I tell you, another one was right up there. Pete Corley was up there.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
So you mentioned on that trip back from Yeovil to Colchester, one or two alcoholic beverages may have been consumed. You then went out on a sort of celebrationary tour, should we say? Who during that time was the best dancer or worst dancer?
Best dancer. Best dancer. I'd say me.
Yeah,
Because I
fair
was
ance.
sober. I was
Yeah,
sober. I don't drink. I never drunk, so I was sober. So I could still dance to the beat if you like.
yeah.
Worst dancer. Cura.
Bless him.
He'll hate that
Bless
as
him.
well. He'll hate that. He'll hate that.
I'm sure the fact that he scored at the weekend to be the person to score in all 10 leagues, I'm sure he'll let it slide. Um,
I can't believe I've got no credit for that. I was the agent in this. I got him involved. I got him.
really,
I numbers. I passed the numbers on. I have not even had a mention. I can't believe it.
I'll mention it. I'll mention it for you. I'll let people know that it was all about you. We've had a few tricky players in the team, whether they've been on loan or youth academy players. Who's been the sort of showboat king? Who is the one that in training, putting it through your legs, flicking it over your head?
Loire was that, but I tell you what, Danzy was brilliant.
Yeah.
Danzy was so good, such a good footballer. I mean, he was. I mean, well, I'm not didn't even mention him in the best player that I played with, but he's right up there. He was right up there. Really good player, skillful, scored goals. But like you say, yeah, in training, he was a really good trainer as well. Yeah, Danzy, definitely Danzy.
Who was the biggest moaner?
Biggest moaner. That could be me.
Yeah.
Brownie, Wayne Brown.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I know obviously a lot of the things that team or new players have to do now is initiations. Was that a thing back when you was playing?
Yeah, yeah. Players
Who
always did a song.
who
Players
who
always did.
was who was the best singer and who was the worst singer? Who was the one where you stood there and thought, football's not your game, you should be selling out shows, and who were the one where you were like, just stop?
Well, the worst one I've ever seen to this day is Mikel Antonio.
Really?
Oh my God. He was horrendous. We was away. Wales, we was away somewhere, and it was like, wow, he was so bad. But again, a great lad, great lad, good young lad at the time, weren't he? But the best, Watto had a great voice, really good
Yeah.
voice. Yeah,
What
he
did
loves
uh
us.
what did Mikhail sing?
I can't
Or
remember. It
or
was that bad. I
try and
probably
try and sing?
yeah, yeah. He was horrific, honestly. But Watto, we used to travel in together, and we used to the old. We'd have the what was the album? The take that album come out or something. So that's how many years ago it was. And we used to have a good old sing song to that. But Watto had a good voice, really good voice.
Wow. And then the last one, obviously, and apologies if this makes you feel on the older side. Obviously, some of the players that you've played with have gone on to become managers. Was there anyone that you sort of, at your playing time, was looking at, was thinking you are going to go on to be a manager? Obviously, Wayne Brown managed Colchester United. Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
think, did you see at that point that he was going to do that, or was there another one that you sort of was thought was going to go into management but hasn't?
I didn't see the Jacko one,
No?
Johnny Jackson. I didn't see that, to be honest with you. But very intelligent guy, really intelligent guy, very good footballer. Um, but I just didn't see it. But I mean, he's gone on to do a fantastic job, hasn't he? So,
Yeah.
um, but what I would have said would have gone on, didn't quite go. He's obviously been manager and coach at a number of places. Brownie, yes. I'd have said Brownie, definitely. Um, who else is in there over the years? Joey Dunn, yeah. Very good coach, Joey Dunn, very good coach. Geraint Williams, yes, could see that. Um, but yeah, there's a few that you'd say yes. There's a lot you would have said not sure. But like I say, you just don't know at that time. You know, you've
Yeah.
got lads now. Look how young the managers are now. Like
Yeah, I think
becoming
you
managers
look at, I think
Premier
it's
League.
Palace's young managers, like 35, 36, I think, and manager of a
Crazy.
Premier League team. Yeah, it is mental. Um, so one of the things I want to sort of try and go through with yourself is I want you to create two seven-a-side teams. A seven-a-side team of players you've played with versus players you've played against. We'll start with the team that you've played with. Who was the best goalkeeper? And this can be whether Colchester, Plymouth, Stanley Rovers, anyone, any team that you've played football with or shared the football pitch with.
Best goalkeeper was Aidan Davison, definitely.
Yeah. So two centre backs or two defenders.
Two defenders. Wayne Brown, and Tony McCarthy.
Very good. Your midfield two.
Midfield two. Oh wow. Mark Kinsella and Neil Dans.
And then a front two. It could either be as a pair, so Kieran Iliumo, Lisby Platt, someone like that, or just two separate.
Curo, without a shadow of a doubt, best finisher I've ever seen. I mean, like you say, you mentioned his goal the other day, and that was just a that was a that goal. I've seen him do that. God knows how many
Yeah,
times. That just typifies him. You know, that goal.
yeah,
It was a perfect one for his to get the record. You know,
yeah,
and Paul Gallagher at Plymouth. Paul
yeah.
Gallagher who played for Plymouth, played for Blackburn. He was he's one of the best players I played with, without a doubt. So good, such a good footballer.
Awesome. So now we'll flip it to players you played against. So who was the best goalkeeper that you come across? And that could be thinking what they've possibly gone on to become, or just at that point you was like, what a keeper.
Um, Goalkeeper. Uh, that's a tough one, the goalkeeper. If we go back to the keeper. If we go back to the
Yeah,
keeper.
yeah, no problem. Two centre backs or again, two defenders.
Two centers, so two defenders. The first one was I would say that I played against would have been Danny O'Shea. He played for Northampton at the time. I could have only been 18, 17, 18. We played Northampton and he absolutely kicked the life out of me. Like it was like welcome to league football, you know,
Yeah.
welcoming this young kid to league football. He absolutely booted me everywhere, every trick in the book. Sorry, he just pinched me, punched me, head butted me, elbowed me, everything he could because I played up front at the time.
Mm.
So yeah, Danny O'Shea without a doubt, and I would say Rio Ferdinand. Played against Rio Ferdinand, a youth team. He
Wow.
would have been youth team level at that time in the FA Youth Cup. So yeah, Rio Ferdinand.
That is something I did not know. Was that who was he at the time?
He was at West Ham. He was
Wow.
at West Ham at the time.
Wow, that's
I think he
incredible.
was playing like. So it would have been. It was West Ham. I think it must have been in the youth team. He's obviously younger than me, but he was like Joey Keefe's age, or he might have been a reserve game or something at the time. But yeah, Rio
Wow.
Ferdinand.
One of the midfielders I think I may know the answer to, but obviously there are probably a lot of other midfielders that you come up against. But there were two midfielders that you played against that was incredible. The one I'm sort of thinking of was when you was at Plymouth, Jack Wilshere.
No,
No,
Diaby, Arsenal at the time. It would have been
fair enough.
Diaby.
Yeah,
He was like, I mean, there was obviously, I mean, because Aaron Ramsey played that day. Jack was only actually it was Jack's 17th birthday. That day we played him for Plymouth. It was his 17th birthday, and he just signed his professional contract that day
wow.
because you couldn't sign till he's 17 or whatever it may well have been. But he just signed his professional contract that day, and he come on as sub. But Aaron Ramsey played in midfield that day. But Diaby was so good. I mean, he was tipped to be the next Vieira and stuff like that. But I mean, he had a lot of injuries, but he was strong, quick. He could. I think that was probably one of the only games in my whole career that I got cramp. He just like he could run. He could just run. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And he would get down the pitch and stuff like that. He was just an all round. He was like a Vieira. So
yeah,
I'd hate to think how good Vieira was. You know.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Who would you have alongside him then?
uh, Midfielder. I'd say Gutierrez at Newcastle.
Yeah, because I did see when you played for Plymouth, obviously you had Arsenal and then you had Newcastle as well, and you scored at both, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
But
it was.
we played them. We played. So we played Newcastle 4 times that season because they were obviously in the Championship at the time, and we drew them in the FA Cup, but we drew 1-1 at home in the FA Cup. So then we obviously played them away. Um, but uh, we drew away. Sorry, we drew at home, and then we played them away in the FA Cup. So we went away to Newcastle on a Tuesday night or whatever it was, and we did some stuff on. I played right back that day, funny enough, and he was obviously a midfielder. He played left side of midfield, and we'd done a lot of work on the team. And I mean, it's quite funny because Peter Reid, we did a bit of shape and stuff. We was talking about Gutierrez, whatever you do, don't. It was like, don't let him come inside on his right foot. Don't let him do this. Don't let him do. Which was fine. That that's the normal stuff you would do with a bit of shape and stuff like that. Anyway, um, and I think within the first, oh, it must have been within the first 10 minutes, he's got down the line, cut in on his right foot and smashed it in the top corner. But the thing was, within that first 10 minutes, he'd beat me down the left, he'd cut in on his right, he'd beat me in the air, he'd sprinted me down the line. It was like everything he did was like, he just tore me apart. And I
Yeah.
played the whole, to be fair, I played the whole game. And it was one of them games where you knew you was getting torn to pieces, but you just had to keep going. You just had to keep going. And by the time the second half had come, we ended up losing. I think we lost 4-1 in the end. I think Peter Lovenkratz got a hat trick, and he when we was making the subs at the end of the game, I kept looking over. It's only one game, probably one of the games where I'm thinking he's got to be taking me off soon, surely.
Mm.
But
He's sort of
it
sitting there and he's
was
just
it
hoping.
was
Yeah.
like, it was like it's got to be me. But then he left me out there. He left me out there, which was a good thing because. But no, Gutierrez he was unbelievable, really good.
So your front two that you played against, who are they? Again, can be either like a pairing of what they were or individuals.
I mean, at the time, you look at Bristol Rovers at the time when they had Jason Roberts and Jamie Curtin as a pairing. You know, it was unbelievable. Then you had Reading, you had Butler. Can you remember Martin Butler and who
Don't
was the
think
other
so.
four? They were unbelievable. These people, they were like so good at the time. Um, but I mean, if I was going for sort of names, if you like, I'd have to put Hernan Crespo in there just because it's like what's
It's
a
Cres
player, you
it's
know?
Crespo,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's Crespo.
Like
You
that's
know
all
what
you
I mean?
got to
Like, come
say.
on,
Yeah.
Hernan Crespo, um, and Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale.
Yeah. Was that
Yeah, that
Southampton
was.
Bale?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I
Um,
remember going down to St Mary's and seeing a young Gareth. I think it was a young Gareth Bale and a young Theo Walcott, and then sort
yeah,
of thinking what they went on to become. You were like, yeah, they weren't too bad of a players. Have you
yeah. No,
thought
I
of?
mean, you look. Oh,
No, go on.
the goalkeeper's the one, isn't it? Who would be the goalkeeper? That's a tough one. That is. I'm trying to think of goalkeepers. They just go you go unnoticed, really, don't you?
Yeah,
Played against best one I've played against. I don't know. I really don't know. I'll go with. I'll tell you what, who was a real good keeper when and I thought he was excellent at the time, was Kelvin Davis when he was at Luton.
yeah.
Kelvin Davis was a really like real good keeper.
He was
Can't
the one
remember.
that used to always wear grey joggers, wasn't he? Grey
No,
joggy
that was
bottoms.
that was the boy at Palace, wasn't it? What was his name?
Oh, Speroni. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
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 Kelvin David. Yeah, the one he was at Southampton for years. I don't know how
yes.
I've got
Speroni.
an
I think I
Argentinian
might.
and a Brit mixed up, but
I think Speroni. I think I might have scored against Speroni when we beat Palace in the Championship, actually. But Kelvin Davis, yeah, I'm going to go Kelvin Davis. That's a bit of
yeah,
an old school one, you know.
yeah,
Like you can get sucked into names, can't you? Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like if you play against someone, I mean Fabianski at Arsenal at the time, he was when I played for Plymouth. Um, Cudicini was the keeper at Chelsea at the time that day, I believe. But there was some. You look back, there's some good keepers, you know, like your Stoke keepers and stuff like that at the time. I'm going Kelvin Davis. I used to like Kelvin
Yeah,
Davis because I was a Luton boy as well from that sort of way. So,
yeah.
but no, like, yeah, I'll go Kelvin Davis. And he was obviously manager of Eastleigh this season when
Oh,
Braintree
really?
we played. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was nice to sort of come across these people again.
Awesome. Carl, it's been absolutely incredible having you on, talking about your time at Colchester. I can't have you on and not talk about current Colchester. What are your feelings at the moment with what Danny and Nicky are doing? Obviously, we spoke about what they're sort of bringing to the club off the pitch, but on the pitch, how are you seeing it?
Well, obviously it's got so much better, hasn't it? You know, I mean, you talk about trust the process and all these sort of cliches and stuff like that. But I think that's been the case, isn't it? You know, I believe bringing the boy and Bick in has been a massive positive. I think that's someone that that's something that they really missed.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, Kyrie's has come in and done very well. The pace on the width now and stuff like that. He's causing teams so much problems. Obviously, on Bick's pace as well. And then you've got Jack Payne playing in behind that. I mean, Jack Payne makes it all tick, doesn't he?
yeah,
And I think they've got a system now and a way of playing that everyone's comfortable with.
hmm,
And it looks that way now, you know. Whereas before, it looked a little bit sort of disjointed, you know,
yeah,
and I think it's settled down a bit now, hasn't it, with the teams that they're sorry, with the team that plays, the team that starts, and then your finishers that come on.
yeah,
I think I think it's got a bit more settled in that way, whereas before it's sort of like changing a little bit too much. I think that's where Danny was trying to find the perfect um, combinations. I mean, I've seen him today talking about the pairings working together and stuff like that, and they're all a bit more comfortable with it now and things like that. So, and it looks that way, and I think he's more comfortable with it now because I think there was a point of sort of I don't know 5 or 6 weeks ago where I think even he was a little bit. Not agitated. I can't say that not agitated, but he was a little bit frustrated with it all as
yeah,
well, because it was like he knew what he wanted, and but it wasn't quite there, was it? But
yeah,
now they've got that, and it looks so much better. Um, and obviously the boy coming in the left side, his centre half coming in from Fulham has done ever so well. Um, the loan signings have been good,
yeah,
you know, which is a real positive. Getting people back from injury as well, which has really helped. And like I say, it helps settle everyone a little bit more. And I think it's they're back on track, if you like, because it was sort of like going a little bit, oh, where are we sort of going here with this?
yeah,
But like I say, I think it's all settled down now, and they've found a solution with the system and the way that they play and the players that are in those positions. Um, and like I say, I think they're getting the rewards of working really hard on trying to get that, you know,
yeah,
and hopefully again. I mean, the FA Cup, we've got the FA Cup this weekend, and which is a great game. I mean, last week you go to Swindon and get a 0-0, and it's a great result. You
yeah,
know, it's a fantastic result, really. I mean, yeah, disappointing, but you shouldn't be not with the results that have been before that. You know, you go to Swindon, if you're disappointed with coming away with a point at Swindon at this point in the season, then you know what I mean? Then something must be going right.
yeah. I think it was Swindon had Accrington away, or Accrington at home, and they lost 4-0. So, and that was a couple of games before our game. So it was one of them where he was like, Swindon are going to want to bounce back. So yeah, on paper you might look at it, think for the October that we had a 0-0 draw, you're sort of like, oh, I just wish, well, how could we not win it after the results we've had? But when you actually sit there and think like, do you know what, actually 0-0 in Swindon is
Yeah,
actually,
and at the end of the season, that point could be a massive point.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
whereas 5 or 6 weeks ago, you'd have gone there and probably been the wrong side. You know, you could have gone and
Hmm.
lost 1-0 and
Yeah,
come back with absolutely nothing.
yeah,
But now you're coming back with a point, and like I say, by the end of the season, that could be a real important point.
yeah. You mentioned him sort of towards the start, Micah and Bick. What a player. 18 years old, on loan from Charlton. But I was chatting with a friend that I had on last week where we spoke about the Harrogate game, and even the Harrogate fan that I had on, he was curious of his age because he plays like a seasoned pro, but he's 18 years old. It's his first loan spell outside of his parent club, Charlton. He's incredible.
Is it his first loan?
I think so, yeah. I think he came through at Charlton's youth team last season and then played a couple of games towards the end.
Okay,
And
well, yeah,
then
no,
this is his first sort of time out to go and learn football.
oh, well,
And it's
I didn't
incredible.
realise it was his first. I thought it was his second, but I'll say, you know what I mean, you'll be more right than me, to be honest with you. But no, he's been an absolute revelation, hasn't he? You know, like you say, he plays like an experienced pro. He leads the line. He's strong. He's quick. He's intelligent. I think Charlton were probably a bit reluctant to let him come out, maybe, because they do feel they do think very highly of him,
Yeah,
and rightly so. You know, but what a perfect loan for him. You know, coming to Colchester and with the management team that they've got at Colchester, they will look after him. You know, and they will look
yeah,
after what Charlton know they've got, and hopefully they can help. Develop him as well, you know, to get used to that football, to get used to that real football, if you like, because coming out of the 21s or whatever it may well be, um, I think it's you need to what I call real football. You need to play in real football, you know, and that's what he's doing. And like I say, long may it continue, you know,
yeah,
because I think when obviously when Lyle went, it left a big void there, didn't it?
yeah,
Because obviously Lyle was their best player last season.
yeah,
I mean, I watched a lot of games last season. Well, a number of games, sorry, should I say? And Lyle was without doubt the best player, I believe.
yeah,
Um, and as soon as he got injured, and obviously Jack Payne got injured at the same time, didn't he? I think
yeah,
as soon as he got injured, I think everybody thought, oh, we're just not quite going to get to where we want to
yeah,
be now,
yeah,
you know, and and then and it's worked a bit the other way this season because before Mbit came, we didn't quite know where we were,
yeah,
did we, or what
yeah,
we are, um, and now he's come in. It's like, oh, actually, now we do know what we're about, you know, and don't get me wrong, having those injuries that coaches have really helped develop people like Kyrese because it's put Kyrese into the team probably earlier than the club would have expected
yeah.
him to be in the team, like as a starter, I should say, because when
Hmm.
he's come on, he's always done really well. Um, and it's having those injuries at the start of the season has really helped his development, and
Yeah,
he's become a starter, isn't he?
yeah, 100%.
You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously we had him on loan last season, Kyrie at Braintree, didn't we? And
Mm.
obviously we had his brother as well, so we knew what they were getting, and he's he works really hard. He works really hard to what he wants to be, and he will get there as if like it will work as hard as he possibly can to get there, as his brother has, you know, and
Yeah,
they've got to keep working to go again and again. But I think Mbik has been the difference in their performances, if I'm
yeah,
honest. And now everyone's sort of going, oh, actually, we have got this now. We have got a focal point. We have got someone that's going to
yeah.
do the things that we want them to do in the system and the way that we play.
Yeah, that's the thing that towards the start of the season, Danny was saying we haven't got that player up front that we can play up into, and I always go back to it and I say that the player that Micah and Bick is, when you watch him playing, you'd say to like an away fan, "Oh, our striker Micah and Bick," but oh, who's he? Thinking that I'm going to say, "Oh, he's a 28, 29-year-old sort of striker that's been around the sort of leagues. But when you actually see him, you go, how old is he? Oh, he's 18. And they're like, he's 18 years old. And he, like I say, he plays like he's a seasoned pro, a seasoned athlete. Um, but yeah, I think, like you say, I think now that we've got that focal point up front, we've got that person that, like you say, we could play
Don't
up into. He can hold the ball up, play in the players. It's incredible.
don't don't keep telling everyone how good he is, though, mate.
Well, the thing that I have read that is good is he played for Charlton this season, so he can so for the rest of the season he can only ever play for Charlton or Colchester. My next door neighbour is a Charlton fan, and he said we don't need strikers at the moment. So fingers crossed that's true, and we
Obviously,
can
you
keep him
can't
for the
have
whole
three.
year.
You can't play for three clubs in a season.
I don't think so, no. So hopefully Charlton don't get mad injuries and bring him in. But yeah, from what I've been told and from what my neighbour says, they don't need strikers. So hopefully we've got him for the whole season.
Oh, that'd be good.
So
It would be good. They do need that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because obviously, they've struggled up there. As in, I mean, Tavide never gets a run of games for injuries and stuff like that, does he? So that sort of holds him back all the time anyway. But I think Bick is a different player to him. Um, and dare I say, I know he's only 18, but he's probably a more complete player
yeah,
at this moment in time. And he's, like I say, I think he's been the biggest change in the fortunes of the whole team. Really, I mean, I
yeah,
know that's putting a lot on an 18-year-old boy, but like you say, I think he's one of these that just sort of takes everything in his stride and he just gets on with it. He wants to get better and better. He wants to play for Charlton, doesn't he? He wants to go and play for
yeah,
Charlton. So, um, and we all probably have no doubt that he will do.
100%.
But let's hope that's next season and not this season.
Yes, hopefully so. Hopefully so. Before I let you go, for those that don't know, what is it you're up to at the moment? What are you still sort of in the football scene? Have you sort of taken a back seat from it? What is Karl Duguid up to at the moment?
So I am assistant manager at Braintree Town, um, which is full time. So we train every day, and that's what I do at this moment in time. I mean, we've got a big FA Cup game against Chelmsford at the weekend, and speak of the devil, Lyle Taylor.
Hmm.
So yeah, looking forward to it. I've really enjoyed it since we come in. I think it's about a year now. We've been in here when we first got into the building. It was a matter of keep us in the league, and we did that. We've got some fantastic players, as you will know, a few of them anyway. We've got a few obviously ex-Colchester players. We've got Big John Akinde, um, Shay Cooper, Tommy Smith, Alan Judge. Alan Judge has just left. Sorry, um, but we've got a number of ex players that Marnie Miranda, that's been
Hmm.
fantastic for us this season. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like I say, we come into the building last year, and that was our remit to keep the team in the league. We did that. This season we've sort of had to build again because we've lost Kyrell and a few players along the way in the summer that went for good money, which was good for the football club, but obviously not good for the team. so we've had to sort of rebuild again, but that's all part and parcel of football, at this
Yeah.
level, and we've enjoyed it. Um, we've had a sort of a stuttered season, if you like, so far, but we're getting there again. We're in that sort of position where we was finding a way of how we wanted to do things, and I think we're there now, and we're ready to sort of kick on for this next part of the season. Hopefully, that starts Saturday in the FA Cup at Chelmsford, big local derby.
Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie. It's one of the team when the FA Cup draw came out. Every Colchester fan were hoping for the not so noisy lot down the road. And then when you were sort of seeing Braintree, Chelmsford, Malden, and Tiptree coming out, you were sort of hoping that we were going to be one of them teams. But yeah, like you say, a local game against Chelmsford will hopefully be a FA Cup to remember, and hopefully into the second round, and then you can come back home. See if we get you in round two. I mean, we've got to get past MK Dons first, but I think Colchester United versus Braintree Town, I think would be a nice little heart warmer for everyone.
Someone said that today. They said it could be the Carl Duguid derby.
Yes, the only thing I would say, what side would you be on?
Oh wow! I'm not Braintree, you know. It's
Yeah,
about us, about my team winning.
it's one of that when if we get you and you score, you're sort of sitting there and you're like, what do I do? Do I sort of
You know what?
little one of
Actually,
them
that was
or
when I went to Plymouth. Strangely enough, I never played against Colchester in both games. I never played.
really?
Yeah, so I played every week up until we played Colchester. We played Peterborough the week before, and then we played Colchester on the Saturday the week after, and I wasn't in the team. Peter
Wow.
Reid took me out of the team, and he didn't even bring me on. It was like, okay, fair enough. And then when we played him when we played at home at Plymouth and Colchester were away, I was sub again. So whether he thought that I was I don't know. I don't know. I thought he just wouldn't play me against him. But do you know
Yeah.
what? I actually like the fact that I never played against him.
Yeah. I suppose it was one of them where you sort of in your head you sort of think if you're in the position where you've got the chance to score and you're sort of sitting there going, I really don't want to do this, but I've sort of got to. But yeah, one thing I will say, I was just quickly looking over to the side. I don't think you've played Southend yet this season, have you?
No, Boxing Day.
Boxing Day, please beat them. Please.
Boxing Day. Yeah, we played them New
Please.
Year's Day last year. We've got them Boxing Day this year, so it's great. It's great. Obviously, it was last season. We lost 1-0. It was on the telly. 6,000 fans. It was brilliant. Proper game of football. Obviously, Kevin Mayer's their manager and stuff like that, and Darren Curry and people like that. That obviously we all know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
It will be one that I will also be looking forward to. And wear your heart on your sleeve.
Always.
Tell him how you feel. Carl, it's been absolutely incredible to talk to you tonight, mate. I really, really do appreciate it. Closing question that I've got for any former player, anyone that I've got. You mentioned it towards the start. Colchester is a very sort of family-run club, and like the sort of community means quite a lot. To a young person watching this, a young kid that wants to make it as a professional footballer, what advice would you give him to make it, whether he's in the academy or wanting to get into one?
Just enjoy every moment, always, mate. Enjoy
Awesome.
every moment, always. That's my
Awesome.
motto.
Awesome. Love it. Carl, thank you so much, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Best of luck at the weekend with the FA Cup draw, and let's hope both teams get through and then a nice little tie back in Essex for the round two.
Top man. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.